We'll do MCQs on the topic human heart. And our first question is the chamber of human heart which has thickest wall. Right atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. Let's just draw a filmy heart first. Something like this. Yeah. So it's divided into 4 chambers. This would be the right atrium, the left atrium, the right ventricle, and the left ventricle. So the function of both the atriums is to receive blood. This receives deoxygenated blood, this receives oxygenated blood. So they both are basically doing the work of receiving. So they do not have thick walls at all. In fact, they have thin walls. Whereas both the ventricles does the work of pumping blood outside. So both of them have strong and thick walls. And out of the two, the left ventricle will be more thicker and stronger. The reason is the right ventricle is sending all the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for purification. Okay, ventricle in fact is transporting all oxygenated blood through the largest artery in our body called as aorta, and it is going to transfer to all the parts of the body, including our fingers and toes. Everywhere it has to reach. So this left ventricle will be under great pressure, so it has much thicker and stronger walls. So the answer for this question, which has the thickest wall, the right and exact answer would be the left ventricle. The next question we have is cardiac output is determined by. So first let's see what's cardiac output. Cardiac output, also denoted as CO, it's basically the volume of blood that's ejected out of the left ventricle. Volume of blood ejected out of left ventricle each minute. Every minute how much blood is ejected out, that's called as cardiac output. And cardiac output is a product of our heart rate and the stroke volume. Both together is going to form the cardiac output. What's the heart rate? Heart rate is basically the number of heartbeats. Heart rate is the number of heartbeats. And what's a stroke volume? Stroke volume is the volume of blood, the amount of blood that gets pumped out by our left ventricle between every heartbeat. Gets pumped out by our left ventricle between every heartbeat. That's the stroke volume. Dono milake gives you the cardiac output. So the actual formula would be something like this. CO is HR into SV. Cardiac output is heart rate into the stroke volume, and average cardiac output hota hai 5.25 liters per minute. Itna blood every minute comes out of the left ventricle, and our answer here is this. Both A and B, both heart rate and stroke volume. The next question we have here is this one. One of the following matches correctly. Inferior vena cava receives deoxygenated blood from head and the body. Superior vena cava receives deoxygenated blood from lower body organs. Pulmonary artery receives deoxygenated blood, carries deoxygenated blood to the lung, and hepatic artery carries deoxygenated blood to the gut. So first let's see what each one do. Inferior vena cava and superior vena cava, they both are the largest veins in our body, which carry all the deoxygenated blood from various parts of the body to our heart, from where it's sent for purification to the lungs. So inferior vena cava jo hai, it specifically gets deoxygenated blood from the lower part of our body. Okay, from the heart, the lower section of the heart, that's your abdomen, the leg, the hand, all that region. Whereas the superior vena cava gets the deoxygenated blood from head and the chest region. So above the heart, the portion above the heart, the superior vena cava gets deoxygenated blood from the section above the heart. Inferior vena cava gets deoxygenated blood from the section below the heart. So according to that, both the statements will be wrong. Inferior vena cava from head to body, that's wrong. It's from the lower part of the body, just the lower part. Superior vena cava receives deoxygenated blood from the lower body organs, that's false. It's the head and the chest. Next, what does pulmonary artery do? Pulmonary artery, yeah, it carries deoxygenated blood from our heart to the lungs for purification. So all the deoxygenated blood that both these veins have brought from our pulmonary vein, it goes to the lung for purification. And the last one, that's we having the hepatic artery. These are basically the arteries which supply oxygen rich blood to the liver, to the stomach, the duodenum, the pancreas, the gallbladder, all of that. So they do not carry deoxygenated blood, they actually carry oxygenated blood. So this one is wrong, and the correct statement is this: pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood to the lung. This one is the correct match here. Normal blood pressure of a 24-year-old man: 120 by 80 mm of mercury, 130 by 90 mm of mercury, 130 by 80 mm of mercury, and 140 by 80 mm of mercury. So the normal blood pressure has to be this one always. That's 120 upon 80 mm of mercury. The numerator here is actually the systolic pressure, which is the blood pressure against the wall of the arteries when our heart is beating, and the denominator is the diastolic pressure, which is the blood pressure in between these heartbeats. Systolic pressure, diastolic pressure, this should be the normal BP range, 120 by 80. So A is the exact answer. And the last question we have here is blood vessels carrying blood from lung to the heart. So the options here we have is pulmonary artery, pulmonary vein, azygous vein, coronary artery. So pulmonary artery basically gets the deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lung for purification. So pulmonary artery gets deoxygenated blood from heart to the lung for purification. The vein brings oxygenated blood from lungs to heart, so that it could be pumped to different parts of the body. The azygous vein is basically getting the deoxygenated blood from the thorax region. Deoxygenated blood from the posterior wall, that's the back side of our thorax and abdomen. Back side of the thorax and abdomen region, with the help of the superior vena cava. And lastly, coronary artery. So the heart is pumping blood to all the other part. The heart itself needs blood as well. So it transports oxygenated blood to the heart muscles. Coronary artery. So the question is blood vessel that carries blood from lungs to heart. So the exact answer is B, pulmonary vein, which carries oxygenated blood from lungs to the heart.